Good afternoon, everybody. Johnny I here with Brian Moroska. Beautiful day out in the backyard today. So we're getting ready to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. And today we're going to illustrate doing a smoked brisket taco in honor of Cinco de Mayo. So, Brian, what do you like doing on Cinco de Mayo?
Hey, you got it. You nailed it on the head. I love having tacos for lunch and tacos for dinner, hanging out with friends and family. You know, it's a great time. But you're smoking a brisket today, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Got to put a barbecue twist on it. And, you know, tacos are so popular, especially nowadays. It seems you can't turn anywhere without finding a taqueria somewhere. But I think, last week, rather 2 weeks ago, Stan and I were out in Phoenix at Chef Aaron May's Big Boy Cook Club. And this recipe is actually from Stan Hayes, our founder and CEO, for a smoked brisket taco that we made for this event. We had about 350 people show up, and I think we made close to 360 tacos. Everyone really, really enjoyed them. I think you mix tacos and smoked brisket, you can't go wrong. So it was a great time to be had by all.
I heard great feedback on those tacos. So, they had to be good, well-rounded, just enough smoke, but, enough flavor behind that. And, I can't wait to see how you're doing that.
Yeah, and we're going to get into kind of the methodology around it. I think, from a flavor standpoint, we looked at every aspect of how to bring forward the most flavor in a taco. And we're going to cover that today. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy this recipe.
So, let's talk about this before we start, Johnny. So first, every week we have a recipe. I'm showing it on the screen right now for you guys that can't see it. But there is a link not only in this stream in the comment section, but also when you go into Facebook on our Operation Barbecue Relief page, there's also a link to it as well. So back over to you, Johnny.
That just makes it easier to make the taco. So I think, to start with, we wanted to have a conversation around brisket. And we've got this really great certified Angus beef choice brisket. And we wanted to talk about a few different things as it relates to brisket, because briskets can be very, very finicky, but there is quite a bit of prep and understanding to brisket, and we just wanted to cover that with you on this video. So now, as you can see, there are two sections of a brisket. You have your flat, and then you have your point, okay? And I think what's important to note here is that the flat is a lot leaner, and the point tends to have a lot more fat kind of interweaving through it. You'll also notice that the grains run in a different direction for both. So, and that's important when you go to cut your brisket. So, Brian, what are we looking for as we start to prep a brisket to put into the smoker?
You brought up a great point there of the flat and the point. So, you're kind of looking at the side that the point is at. You got the fat cap there. Now, sometimes there's a more hard fat that will not break down in the smoking process. So we're going to trim a little bit of that away so that it will render nicely in the smoker, so we have a nice moist product coming out.
So, Brian, the trick is you don't want to take off too much fat, because the fat equals the flavor. But to like what Brian said, when you have a really hard kernel of fat, that will never cook down in the smoker, and then you're just going to be left with a big hunk of fat.
And I really like your process here. You're cutting a little bit at a time. You're not just taking a big chunk out. And then if you do that, you may take out a piece of a big chunk of meat, and you're paying good money for brisket, especially these days. So definitely take a little bit out at a time.
All right, so now we've got that fat kernel. We want to look to see if there's any other surface fat over the flat that might be a little thicker than we need. This brisket has a very nice level layer of fat. If you see some striations of silver skin, you want to pull that off as well. Now, what about the underside, Brian?
Now, I also want to point out here, Johnny, is a lot of people hear about competition brisket. This is more of a backyard recipe we're doing here, so we're not putting the same amount of attention into pulling every little piece of fat off. But on the flat side, there's definitely usually a line of fat there that we're going to pull off, and I know you're about to do that there. But also any of that silver skin, once it cooks up, it becomes like a rubber band. Rubber bands do not eat well, so definitely want to pull that off after as well. Yeah, that's that area you definitely want to trim out because that will not render down.
Yeah, and then you can see there's some layers of silver skin in there that Brian was mentioning. Again, that's just going to give a toughness to your finished product. And we've got a little bit here we're going to take off.
And one of the best parts about the flat that I like is that once we rub it with the couple different rubs we're going to use today, I love getting that bark.
Yeah.
You get real good flavor off of that. So that's one really good thing I love about the flat side.
All right, so I think we've got enough trimming here. Now what we're going to do is go into the seasoning phase. And as Brian had alluded to, Stan came up with this really fantastic recipe where we're using some different OBR rubs to achieve a different bit of flavor. So we're going to start with our Texas SPG rub, and we're going to put that very evenly over the top.
And while you're doing that, I just want to flash up here. Jason Gray said he really loves the rubs, especially the Texas SPG, the Santa Maria, and the Sweet and Smoky, and the Florida Mojo. So, we love them too. Thank you for that, Jason.
All right. Then we're going to turn the brisket over, and we're going to use some more Texas SPG rub. And again, salt, pepper, very basic seasoning for brisket. This will have the addition of the garlic, which again is just going to give it some nice, deep, savory flavor.
Now we're going to be cooking fat side up, right?
Yes.
So we're going to put Sweet and Smoky on the fat side, and we're going to put Santa Maria on the bottom side, on the flat side. Correct. Here, the bottom side.
Correct.
So, the reason we're doing that, right, is to get the good flavor on the underneath, but we really want to get good flavor, but also the color on that fat side. So when we pull it off the grill, it's beautiful because you eat with your eyes first.
Correct. So like Brian mentioned, on the bottom, we're putting the Santa Maria steak rub. And again, this is really the meat portion. So all of this seasoning and flavor is going to get pulled into that meat. And this is a fantastic rub for those of you who have used it. Great depth. So now we've got 2 rubs on this brisket so far. Now we're going to turn it back over. And as Brian had mentioned, the top we're going to put Sweet and Smoky. Now this has a beautiful smoky flavor and sweetness. This is what's going to help develop a great bark. Now, not only developing the bark and the color, but then when you go to eat the brisket, you have a complexity of flavor. You have the regular brisket flavor. You've got the Santa Maria flavor coming in. Then you have that sweet, smoky flavor on top. And now that's just the meat. Wait till you see the rest of the recipe as we put it together. Like I said, when people were eating this taco, all they were talking about, it had so much amazing flavor. Okay, so now our brisket is ready. We're going to pop it in the smoker, put it on at about 250. And I usually like to cook the brisket till it's got an internal temperature of about 190 degrees. We're going to pull it out, let it rest. And now we're going to get on with the rest of the preparation of the taco.
Robert was with you guys out there in Arizona, and he was able to taste the brisket. And he said the flavor from those combination of those rubs were just out of this world. So, he was able to try that firsthand.
Very unique flavor. And again, that I think was really what it's all about when you talk about cooking is how can you maximize flavor and the experience that the person who's eating it is going to have. So with this brisket, we put on a pickled onion, jalapeno, and garlic relish on top. And that's what we're going to prepare now. Now, this has to be prepared in advance because you need to let it set. So the first thing we're going to do is head over to our sauce pot and turn the flame on. And in our sauce pot, we're going to put apple cider vinegar, that's going to give it a very nice acidic flavor. Then we're going to add red wine vinegar as well. So you see the theme there. We've got a nice vinegar flavor. Now for sweetness, we're going to add some honey. Now, since this is extremely acidic and we need a little bit more liquid to cover the vegetables that we're pickling, we're going to add a little bit of water to it. Then the last component is just some salt. So now we're going to let this boil up. Then what we're going to do is let it cool slightly and we're going to pour it over our vegetables. So now let's prepare the vegetables. So again, we're using red onion, we're using fresh jalapeno, and fresh garlic. Now, really, all we want to do is slice the red onion, and you don't want it too thick. You want it probably about 1/8 of an inch thick. And I'm using red onion because you'll see once it's pickled, it develops a really beautiful rose color, which, like Brian was saying, you eat with your eyes. Visually, this was stunning on top of that brisket taco. Okay, so we're going to take our onions, place them in a bowl. To that, we're going to take our fresh jalapeno. And now this you want to be able to slice very, very thin because you just want to give a little bit of spice when you bite into it. And it's okay if you leave the seeds in because, again, this is going to be pickled overnight. So some of that heat is going to get pulled out and into the onions as well. Okay, so we're going to add our jalapenos to the onion. Then we're going to take some garlic cloves. We're just going to smash them lightly, and that's going to release the flavor. We're going to place that in the bowl as well. So now we have all of our vegetables in one spot. Okay, while I was slicing, our liquid came up to a boil. I turned it down. We'll let that temper just a little bit. And then what we're going to do is pour that over the onions and the jalapenos. You want to make sure that the juice covers it. And now we're ready to let that set. So we're going to let this cool off a little bit. We're going to put it in the refrigerator covered overnight. And then it's going to develop a great flavor. As you can see, I prepared some of these yesterday. So you can see that the rose color of the onions and the jalapenos got a little bit lighter in color. I added some fresh chopped cilantro this morning, and the flavor is fantastic. The aroma is incredible. So you got this sweet heat and acidic flavor just in this component. So when you think about what we did with the brisket, and now we have that topping, and we're going to use a ghost pepper hot sauce and a little cotija cheese. Now we're developing an amazing amount of flavor in this little taco that we're going to be preparing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get ready to actually prepare the taco. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our brisket.
Those pickled veg look awesome, by the way. Great color on those. Can't wait to see the whole taco put together.
Yep. So here's our brisket that I smoked. Again, we have our point side and we have our flat side. And the first step we're going to do is actually warm our tortillas. So I have my grill on, and I'm just going to pass these flour tortillas on the grill just for a few seconds, just so we can get pliable and warm.
While you're doing that, Johnny, looks like we got some new faces out in the crowd here. Want to say hello to Angel, David, and Caroline. So thank you for
Angel,
watching.
David, and Carolyn, welcome. Welcome. It's great to have you.
And then we also have April, who actually works with us and works with us on the programs team. So, good to see you, April. Hope you're watching so you can cook some brisket with us.
Excellent. And this, again, is actually very, very simple to prepare, but so flavorful.
So like Johnny said, he did take that brisket to 190 degrees and kind of let it sit probably sat for 4 hours in the Cambro or the cooler, just resting, and probably got up to 195, 196 degrees internal, which is about perfect, especially for a certified Angus beef brisket. If you go over 200, as you have to with some other briskets, they will kind of just fall apart on you. So that's just kind of a little tip.
So now we're ready to assemble the taco. And again, this is the fun part. So we're going to take our brisket and we're going to slice our brisket. And you want to get a nice slice of brisket on the taco. We don't want to be too cheap with it because you want to have something to be able to bite into. This brisket is beautiful and juicy.
One thing I'd like to point out is you're actually getting some flat and point, it looks like.
Yes.
So you want to kind of point to where that point is and where the flat is. That top part of that slice is the point, and then the lower part is the flat. So you're getting a little bit of both on there. So
yes,
that's awesome.
So now what I'm going to do is, since the slice of brisket is so large for the size taco that I'm using, I'm using a 4-inch taco. I'm just going to cut this brisket in half into 2 pieces and place that in the center of the taco.
I wish I was there with you, Johnny.
I tell you, it looks fantastic so far. Now to finish this, we are going to take the pickled onions and jalapeno and set that in the center of this taco.
Beautiful.
And as you could see, if the wind would stop, we've got, it's just looking amazing at this point. Now to finish this, we're going to put a few dabs of ghost pepper hot sauce. This is a brand that we used out in Phoenix called Cutino. And we're just going to drizzle a little bit because it's got a great heat flavor to it that's much different than the jalapeno. It's a very deep heat, but not too spicy where you're going to burn your mouth.
Now, if they don't like spicy, they can leave that off.
Absolutely. If spicy,
or go with a mild sauce.
Yeah, then what we're going to do is we're going to finish with a little bit of cotija cheese, which adds a salty yet creamy flavor to the taco. And again, it just rounds out the flavor. So as you can see, we've got an amazing looking burst of flavor just in this taco right here. And between the smokiness of the brisket, the nice sweet vinegar and slight heat of the relish with the saltiness of the cheese and the little dabs of hot sauce, it's absolutely incredible. Now, what I would like to show you is, since it's Cinco de Mayo, and one of the more popular things to put on a taco is a salsa verde. And what I want to do right now is just kind of show you really quickly how easy it is to make a salsa verde and put a little OBR twist on it. What I did when I was smoking the brisket was I took some tomatillos, onion, and garlic and jalapeno, olive oil, and a little bit of Texas SPG rub, and I placed it in the smoker just for about 10 minutes to get that smoky flavor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place that in my food processor. And again, as far as dimension, this is going to add some amazing flavor to any taco that you use, but especially this one. Then I'm going to add some fresh cilantro. And then just a little bit of water to help it blend. And again, salsa verde in Mexico is green sauce. And this is just another, again, what this is going to add, you're going to have that fresh flavor of cilantro, the smokiness from the tomatillos, and again, just a little bit of spice from the jalapeno. But it's just going to add such a fresh flavor to the taco. So then we're just going to take a little bit of our salsa verde, put that on top. And again, we've got beautiful color now and an amazing flavor. And the salsa verde gives it such a nice fresh touch. And there you have it, smoked brisket tacos. Again, fantastic way to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. You get to use your smoker, you're outside cooking, and it's just a fantastic recipe.
Stephanie asked if we can put some lime juice over it if we want.
Absolutely. We can take some fresh lime, squeeze a little bit of fresh lime over the taco. Again, for that added freshness. And now you just have a huge punch of flavor in a small little taco. So I want to thank everybody today for tuning in. Hopefully you will get a chance to try this recipe at home. Again, very, very simple, very easy to make, but full of flavor. Very trendy. And any day you can smoke outside is a good day.